Two. So hello everyone and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So this is going to be part 2 of the Special Healers Meet series. So I'm joined by 4 very special healers and teachers who are going to help us dive deep into the conversation of spirituality. And today the starting topic is going to be inspiration. So we'll just start off because I know there'll be new people watching this episode and instead of the first one. So we'll start with Anna Louise, just a quick synopsis of what you do and who you are.
Thank you. So my name's Anna Louise Haig. I'm based just outside Harrogate. I have been a therapist since 1988, and along the way have been a principal, a teacher, international lecturer, and for the past 15 years I've run retreats in Glastonbury and more lately in the Dales. So nowadays, partly because of the pandemic, it's given me the opportunity to really expand my online workshops and training courses and 9-month program. So I have a nice mix of face-to-face work, but also a lot of online work, and that's what makes my heart sing.
Outstanding. And Hayley, hello, good morning.
Good morning. I'm having a little bit of trouble on my end. It's a bit breaking up quite a lot, but I'm going to go with it because I can still hear you just.
Yeah, no problem. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Hayley, for those who are new into the first seeing you and not seeing the first part or any of the shows you've done before.
Okay, yeah, so it's really lovely to be here with you all again, I have to say. And I'm an artist with textile fiber artist, and I'm also a shamanic practitioner. And then I kind of run retreats and circles and sweat lodges and do a lot of stuff outside with nature, with Mother Nature, and also inside as well. So teaching and bringing
and you've
people
been on
together.
the show quite a few times, Hayley. It's great to have you back on again.
Yeah, it really is for me too. Thank you, Del.
Thank you so much. And Kalyani, hello, good morning. Or good
Hi.
afternoon. What time is it in your time zone?
Yeah, good afternoon from France. So I'm Kalyani. I've come back to live in France because I'm French 2.5 years ago, and I work online with people who want to unblock what is preventing them from moving forward in their lives, often linked to trauma, and very often as well into childhood. And here in France, I run a retreat center and a chambre d'hôte called La Source in the Ardèche area, which I run with my partner Nick. And it's really a safe haven, which we need in times like this. So we haven't had too many English people make it across the channel so far, but we're really looking forward to welcoming English people when they can come and join us again. So,
Outstanding. And I saw you on Facebook. What were you doing? I saw a few lives or pictures of you out in crowds. Do you, if you want to talk a little bit about that, a tiny bit.
Well, there's little by little, just little chipping at our freedom, and the current issue in France is moving from a pass that non-vaccinated people could have temporarily whenever we did a test, to now not having access to that pass at all if you're not vaccinated, which means that for people like me who make that choice, I won't have ever access to certain places like restaurants, culture places, exhibitions, and the demonstrating is happening all over France because this is really not right. It's not right legally either. And we demonstrating to show how we exist and we have a right to be making the choice of not being vaccinated. And then in parallel, these demonstrations allow us to meet each other as well, and to organize ourselves so that we can still have a social life amongst us, because that's really important. And we are developing a lot of close local links with people who are on the same wavelength. So it was also part for us of building our new world.
Outstanding. And this is one of the main reasons why these healing shows are very special, because there's so much chaos in the world at the moment, and all of our rights have been more of our rights are getting taken away from us if you look into it. And that is the nature of the beast, and the nature of the system is healing is so important. And us sharing our words, talking about the stuff we talk about, and Anne-Marie, Kalyani, Hayley, all of you doing the great work you're doing, is you're having your own bubbles of reality. You're creating and out-creating the system by learning through self-love, self-care, and it's so important what you all are doing. And I appreciate you for coming on again, because this is the second time. I know you all got busy lives, but it's inspiring. And it's funny, the conversation we're going to start with is inspiration. And when my father died last year, and this morning he basically had this hobgoblin beer bottle, and I bought him hobgoblin beer and a glass which he never got to drink on Father's Day last year, and so he passed away, and I drank the hobgoblin beer on his funeral, but I've still got his glass, and I was drinking some water out of it earlier, and I looked into it and it said inspiration, you know, at the bottom of the glass.
Yeah, super.
And I was like, there, but I was like, cheers, Dad. So the topic was a synchronicity there. So we'll start with Anna Louise, just a bit of the breakup of what inspiration is, and afterwards we'll kind of go into why it's hard to be inspired for a lot of people in this world, and what we can do to feel inspired, so on and so forth.
Oh, thanks, Dan. Okay, so obviously in our current times, people are looking for hope. They're looking for a light at the end of the tunnel, and they're looking for ways to bring themselves into a sense of comfort, feeling more in control for their lives. And to then start to think about being inspired can seem like one step far too far. However, when inspiration, in my mind, when inspiration is put to the fore, we can break down the word as in inner spiral. And to inspire, in my mind, is to basically wake up the light that's within you and let it rise slowly and percolate, so that it actually lifts your energy, brightens your mind, opens your heart, and gives you the opportunity to think positively and creatively and productively, even if it's in the smallest, for the smallest way. So when we talk, to my mind, when we're talking about inspiration, we don't need to talk about coming up with some grand plan that's going to change the world. It's about changing your own world enough that you can feel elevated and positive and hopeful. And those three energies can subdue the feelings of fear, bash the headlines down, and so on. So to me, inspiration is an essential part of well-being. And inspiration can be a healing aspect as well, because when we have something that we feel inspired about, then what we have is a sense of purpose, a sense of identity, a sense of connection. And all of those may be, again, it might just be inspired about something small, but all of those help to weave that fabric of who we are on the inside, help weave more threads into that fabric, so that we know it's a one step at a time kind of thing. And that way, when we look at opening ourselves to the inspiration, the inner spiral of elevated energy within us, then our journey is more personal, it's more meaningful, and it can be adjusted along the way all the time. So to me, inspiration is something that lights me up inside, but also when I deliver my work, I know I'm lighting, ideally, aiming to inspire and light other people up as well. So to me, it's all about light and elevation.
Outstanding, and finding those parts of within ourselves which need to have a bit more light.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kalyani, what's yours take on the starting point of the inspiration? Then we'll go more into the mechanics of it.
Yeah, thanks, Del. I love your image, Anna Louise.
Which one's
It's
that?
really,
Which
yeah,
one's, sorry, say that again, Kalyani. It broke up a tiny bit when you spoke then.
That one, it's Glastonbury Tour.
yeah. I love that that light, which is the one we are tending towards all the time, and it's calling the light within us, and we can let that radiate around us to inspire others as well. For me, inspiration is that deep call each of us have within us of leaving this world a better place, a more beautiful place than how we found it. Whichever way, each with our own little steps, with our own little chipping at creating that masterpiece of the world we dream of. And having that vision, having what is calling us, is key to make us move forward. And even at times like today, where there are lots of shadow in the world, we can choose to witness what is going on without being sucked in, and use our inspiration to nurture our own inner light. So inspiration is key, and I agree with Anna Louise. We can make it just little small things that are gonna, like, little step by step to nurture ourselves. And I love what you shared, Dale, about your dad's input and bringing that word into the show. That's just spot on.
A message from the ancestral homeworld there. Remember, guys. So thank you, Kalyani. Beautiful. Hayley's from your. So what's your take on inspiration? Just the starting point, and we'll go more into it.
Well, I think I really love what both of you have said already, and I can completely resonate with that. And I think it's in the small things, really. You know, I think when we think about inspiration, we can perhaps think about something, the big picture, the big things that inspire us. But actually, for me, it's noticing the tiny little things in my life. So one of the things is nature, is you know, that noticing the sun rising in the morning, and how inspiring that can be, because there's an acknowledgement there. There's a simple acknowledgement of, like, oh, the sun has risen today, and feeling that warmth, being in the present moment, and therefore, you know, carrying that on through your day. So and you know, being an artist, it's tapping into the creativity of ourselves, and knowing that we can create with all of our being, you know, not just our hands and our imagination, but expressing that out. So that is a very simple starting point, I would say.
Outstanding. And it does feel like when you, so let's take it back to being a child and being a baby and seeing through their eyes or our eyes, if when we grow up from infant childhood to where we are in the now, looking at inspiration and what we're taught through, say, school systems or through TV programs or the news. We've got a lot of, I'd say, our oral traditions have been disappeared, and our oral teachers from what true inspiration is gathered from. So I do feel that sometimes in life we get confused with what's out there, because say you'd have somebody who's very famous who everyone's inspired by, but it may be a bit wrong, that inspiration, because it's not from the self. So do you want to expand on that, Anna Louise, about growing up and what do you see through the eyes of a child growing up in this day and age? And
right, well, I mean, that's a really good perspective to take it from the eyes of a child. I find that fully believe that we're born knowing that that the soul that we host is playing full out, and that it is trying to assimilate into this lifetime and start to deliver its good stuff, start to be our guide, deliver its wisdom, and so on. And maybe nowadays, because life's different, maybe nowadays there's more respect or understanding about, you know, for a child who feels they have some calling, even when they're very, very young, they feel inspired to follow a certain path. And maybe nowadays the parents recognize that instead of trying to homogenize them into some kind of role that the family would expect. I find that often for children, well, for the adults that I work with, that they've lost sight of who they are through the many layers of influence of school, family, parenting, society, social media these days even. And they've lost that sense of soul self connection. So for me, like Haley said, getting out in nature and being out, letting yourself be more aware of what calls your attention, and allowing yourself to connect with what's going on inside you, following the feeling, and being willing to try things out. And through the eyes of a child, there's magic, there's limitlessness, there's no fear, there's so much that we could take from those days of being a child and apply them into our adult life. And you know, I truly think that you reach an age, maybe it's 50, 52, 60, I don't know, something up towards that end. I think that's where most people who haven't yet perhaps explored the awakening journey or the healing journey, where they suddenly get that moment where they wake up and will go, hold on a minute, what's my life about? And I think the pandemic's done that for a lot of people. Well, I think it's done it for almost the majority of people. And for those of us on the path already, it's kind of a call, an answer to all our meditations and affirmations and dedicated good works over the decades that we've been around. And I feel that when somebody who's not been on the awakening journey suddenly gets this wake-up call, there can be this idea that everything they've already done needs to be dismantled, and that's not true. That everything they've ever done is wrong, that's not true. That they're in the wrong relationship, the wrong job, the wrong house, the wrong community, whatever, that's not necessarily true, because all those decisions were based on what was right at the time. However, when we start to take inspiration from that point of awareness and bring it into the question field of, okay, something needs to change, what's it going to be? The most important thing is to avoid self-judgment and to just simply allow the possibilities of what if to come out to play and to try things out. And I know a lot of people I've talked to over the last couple of years that going back to work when that was allowed, they found after a couple of months that they had real value conflict with their employer's business ethos, that they were no longer driven by the big money. They valued quality in life rather than quantity. And nature's got a big role to play in that. And nature will be your teacher, healer, and guide if you let it and if you open yourself to it. So I think from a child's perspective, nature is their whole world. You know, it shows them so much, and we need to get back to that. And remember, we can. It's never too late.
Outstanding, and that has for me, it's the COVID situation has helped me tenfold really find myself more, give myself time to find myself more, and really feel for what gives me inspiration. And that's the work I do, the sessions I do, talking shows like this, all of different things like that. It made me realize what's important to me, and like you say, to have that foresight and hindsight of the life and go, right, that I'm off work now, but when they go back to work, they realize, oh shit, is this the reality I really want? Do I feel good? Do I feel good in this reality? So it is that a gentleman called Andrew Bartis, my teacher, said the COVID is the gift what keeps the virus what the gift, what keeps on gifting to everyone, and it'll continue to gift to everyone throughout the many years. And so Kalyani, so your perspective of, so we have someone who's a child, a baby, and growing up. What's your perspective of what the world was like with inspiration from your behalf?
Well, I'm going to be a bit controversial here, Dale. um, a child just wants to live and love and play and experience and discover. Everything is um, potential for feeling, for discovery, and for exploration. And there is absolutely no judgment in the child. And what have we created here in society? And we see it especially now. We've created a society that has a fear of death. Totally, it's everywhere. And in that fear of death, there's a freezing of life. There's a freezing of everything. We stop living to protect ourselves so that we can live a life, but the life we live is a life of a zombie.
Mm.
And I was like, hello. And the child, in its inspiration, is here to tell us, I've bloody landed in this body. My soul has made a choice to be here now. What for, if it's not to live fully, to go and experience? And the experience on earth is an experience linked to our elements, to nature, to being socially connected, to explore love. It's not at all the experience that our governments are wanting us to live. So that's what I'm saying bye to that. It's like, this is not the life I choose. This is not the life I've come here to live. And I will not accept life of a zombie. So the child is reminding me that every life is precious and every life is here to be lived. So that was my... You can feel the fireness of the French in that.
And that's beautifully put. And so Anna Louise, you were talking about light, and you were talking about the child just comes in with that non-judgment, and for me that is source connection. The child comes in source connected, universally connected. I'd say there's no duality, there's just singularity. And this is another thing which I think corresponds with what's wrong with where we've gone wrong, is we've gone from singularity as a child. We're source connected, we're inspired by just nature itself, we're inspired by our own light, like you were talking about, Louise. But then we've stepped into a duality where had a split, haven't we, where we're in, like, right, we're in this world, now we're in this world, we're in this world, and now we're in this world. But it's going back to that innocent inner child, and going back to that singularity lifestyle. Beautifully put, Kalyani. Thank you for that. So Hayley, from your perspective of growing up as a child, what is inspiration, and where is it found? Is it found from yourself, external? Go ahead.
Well, I think I think it for me, children are one of my biggest inspirations, actually, especially with their kind of upfront audacity just to tell you exactly what they're thinking. Or yeah, you look like you've got a big nose, or you look really sad, what's wrong? And I just think the truth and within the innocence, which is what we spoke about last week a little bit, I think is truly inspiring, because they're in their truth, they're in their honesty, and they're speaking it out. So yeah, I just think they are the ones that are inspiring. That's kind of like really all I want to add on to what's already been spoken about. And again, that like, for example, just yesterday I was with some little kids, and one was like puffing up a beanbag or something, and I said, "Oh, are you making some bread there?" And he was just like, "Yeah, I'm making bogey bread." And I know that sounds almost silly and stupid, but I just think the inspiration that this little child had from this beanbag making something, and then his little imagination and creative mind just went somewhere of just, and he was absolutely beaming and with joy and love and truth and expression, you know. And I think kids have inspiration and they are already inspired, and I think us adults could learn a lot from them.
Outstanding. And it reminds me of that the healing technique I've used is always when you're trying to get into like the inner child state, trying to be that child in the sandbox with not a care in the world. And that is a very big teaching for me when I kind of contemplated it and understood it a little bit more, was how, say, if a child is in a sandbox and they're so creative, and like you say, Hayley, they're rolling up something and they're pretending it's something, and their imagination's going forward, and they're just in that creation zone, aren't they? That beautiful creation where they're just playing with the sand, talking. Like Opal, she'll be making me ice creams and stuff like that, and she'll be literally in her own world, just talking to herself, doing that. It is inspiring. You're so right, Hayley, to see that, to see the children and how much we can learn from them. And remember, we are the children as well, but the programming has got us, the brainwashing has got us and got us off from the inner child mode. So Anna Louise, going back a little bit to when you talked about increasing your light for the inspiration, how for people out there, if they feel really shit, don't know how to increase the light, what are some of the ways and actions they can do to increase their own light?
Well, I think between the four of us, we'd all say get out in nature more. And the thing is that light comes in so many ways. So you've got, of course, the sunlight, you've got moonlight, starlight, the whole thing. What we need to remember is that when we need to find more inspiration and increase our light quality within us, is that often we'll think about doing something, and then there'll be this voice that goes, oh, you can't do that because, or there'll be yeah, but whatever. There's like almost like a battling voice that goes on. And how I kind of look at that is that from a child, going back to that, when we are born, if we had a dimmer switch on our soul, it was ramped right up, and it's like a beacon and a spotlight. And slowly over time, that dimmer switch is turned down and down and down and down. And what we need to remember or recognize is whose hand is on that dimmer switch, because it won't be our own. And the hand that holds the dimmer switch is the one that gives you your yeah buts, you can't do this, your limiting beliefs, and so on, wherever they've come from in your life. So one of the things I do with my students and such is I literally do a meditation where they imagine being born into this beautiful light body as a baby, and that they find the dimmer switch. And they then meditate through how the dimmer switch has got turned down, identify the common threads in there, and then lovingly let go. So it's a bit of a cord cutting, I suppose, as well. Lovingly let go, and then see their own hand on that dimmer switch and turning it back up again. And for a lot of people, they need that kind of metaphorical, imaginary kind of prompt, which is helpful. But to bring your own inspiration out from yourself, often I find it's a change of environment. So yes, get outside. It's often a change of maybe diet. Sometimes maybe the food we're eating isn't giving us the right energy. And often as well, not enough water. From a physical level, self-care level, not enough water. So there's practical things and there's spiritual things to do. And I know there's tons more, because I know Kalyani and Hayley will have other great ideas. But to me, I would start small. You know, when did you last feel inspired? What would it be like to feel inspired now? What is it? What does that mean to you? How does life feel different? And just go easy on yourself. Like I said earlier on, bite-sized pieces, which becomes something bigger in time, and get used to the habit of feeling inspired and allowing yourself to feel inspired, as opposed to being a bit of an Eeyore and just kind of grumping your way through the day, basically.
Thank you. Beautiful. And Kalyani, so what are some of the processes you do for your teachings and events to help people step out of that zone into inspiration, which is so important and vital at the moment?
Well, to nurture your light, you really have to acknowledge first that you're not in your light. So just taking a moment and realizing that, being really true, authentic towards yourself. And then there's some very good, plenty of techniques to first cleanse your energy bodies, cleanse your aura, and if nothing else, just going outside in nature and letting Mother Nature naturally do this recycling for us, trusting that we're in a safe place, and opening the feet and the soles of the feet and saying, okay, take it. I'm good. But once that that recycling is allowed, just dropping all that busyness that's often in the mind that keeps us in that zone where we're not clear, we're not connected to ourselves because it all keeps going round and round here, and coming back deeper in the body. So the question is for each person to answer, what can I do to get back to my body? So it could be, like Anna-Louise mentioned, self-care. It could be taking a bath, just taking a bath. A few nightly women, nice candles, not disturb, having a moment of self-care. It can be, I've led, if people go on La Source Ardèche website, or on our YouTube channel. It's in French, but you get a feel because I guided. I've led beautiful self-care meditation that I've called the Hands of the Beloved, where you go and caress yourself with that deep attention of how you want to receive and nurture yourself. And other things you can do is dance, put a music you love, and move. Have that sense, returning to that sense of fluidity and freedom and connection to your body. Anything that takes you out of the mind brings you in, so that light can start streaming through you again like it always was, and so that the inspiration can start to drop in again. You can open to that again. That's what I would share.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Hayley, so some of your shamanic processes, what are some of the ways you help increase the volume of light? Molly's just here, so I'll be 2 seconds. I'm just going to say to him. So you go ahead, Hayley.
I think that's perfect timing, actually.
There we go.
The inspiration just walked in. Yeah, I think the thing that I find really beautiful is that every single human being on this earth is unique, and I think that uniqueness of us, finding out what is our true inspiration. Who am I, not who am I being told to be or to fit in. This is one of my big things in my teachings, and also within my clothing brand as well, is that, you know, standing out and being proud of who you are. So there's a discovery there of what you can go on to discover that, and it's already been spoken about, but movement for me is one of the biggest things. So really getting into my body, how is my body feeling today? And if you're feeling, and really just going on a journey with music playing, or maybe not music at all, maybe it's just movement, walking outside in nature, which we've talked about, and then starting to ask the questions, starting to unblock and you know, discover where you are at in that moment in time. So that's one of the things. But also, like within circles as well, of very much bringing people into the moment. So when I'm in a circle and there's a circle of individual, beautiful, incredible, powerful people there, it's then we can start talking truth, being ourselves, and then that inspires that person next to us or over the other side, and then that person passes their inspiration on. So that for me, awakening that and allowing people to just move past, get out of the way, because essentially we are the only ones that stand in our way because we're allowing everything to happen. So get out of our way and really stand in our truth. And then that's when inspiration can start to happen within a community, within people, because of all that we spoke about. We become much brighter, we become much more real, you know. Yeah, one of my inspirations is getting in a cold water tank every morning, because that makes me feel my body. Love it.
I'll be hopefully joining you very soon. I'm just in the midst of sorting something out, a barrel. I don't know. I'm into like 10 minds about what to do. Either get a barrel or get this and that. I don't know, but I will be joining you, Hayley, and doing morning dips as well.
Fabulous. You just need a dustbin.
There we go. Or that one of those, that's on one of the list, either one of them. So from my perspective of talking about light generation, it's something I deal with and help people learn about. For me, with my psychic surgery sessions and the training, it's light generation is one of the most important things through the psychic surgery journey, is impressing more the amount of light. So say if you have a Reiki session, impressing more light into that Reiki session and going into areas of the organs or anything which needs to be flushed out. And this corresponds with, which I think we'll have to wrap up the show now because I know Anna Louise has got to go. But next time we can, if you want to do virtual, we can then go on to depression, because I do feel inspiration crosses over and connects to depression as well, the flip side of it, sorry. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Kalyani.
I would say maybe for some of your viewers, a lot of people might feel there are lots of things they can do themselves, but these techniques, yes, they are simple, but they will be all the more powerful if they do them with people like us, with a healer that corresponds to their energy, because we are the ones who can pop up the intensity, and things can happen a lot quicker, and we also hold a very safe space for people. So for people to be aware, if they try things themselves and they don't work, it doesn't mean that it's not right, but it means maybe they should try it with a healer as well. You know, give themselves that chance to do the work with somebody who is a little bit ahead of them and is very much willing to support them.
Outstanding. And do you want to add anything, Hayley, to that before we close the show? Any advice you'd give for those people like Kalyani was talking about, who are a bit nervous and they do need that someone, a teacher, facilitator there helping them through onto the next stage?
I think by having a teacher there, it just gives them permission to just fall into the arms of something, and especially if they feel safe, because it really allows them to crack off that armor and test new things and explore. But on an individual level, I just think really step into the truth of who you are and ask yourself, what inspires me? And what is it? Getting into cold water? Is it moving? Well, if that embarrassing mind kind of steps in, oh, I feel ridiculous to move in my bedroom, well, push the boundary, step over that void and test it. Just test it and then see what will happen. And I can pretty much assure you that's where the magic will begin.
Outstanding. So with self-choice, all comes down to the self-choice. There we go. Thank you, Hayley. Beautifully put. Anna Louise, before we say goodbye, anything to add quickly to that?
Just really quickly, thank you once again. It's great to be with you all. And to just basically say, from the inspiration perspective, just start. Just start. Something small, something meaningful. Pay attention, be aware, and just start. Outstanding.
And yeah, beautiful. I really enjoy our chats. Really enjoy them. So really fun. So I'd like to have you on in a few weeks' time, or when's best for you to go over. I feel that depression would be a great topic to go on to next. And I know that a lot of the world, that's a huge problem at the moment, is depression, and finding it all corresponds to what we're talking about. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you for joining this show. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you, Kalyani. And thank you, Anna Louise. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.